Everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge Podcast. My name's Josh. Thanks for joining me. But before we get to today's video, I want to talk to you about Drift. You guys know I love Scentbird. Well, Drift is actually the sister company of Scentbird. So Drift is basically scent for your vehicle or wherever you want to put it actually, but it comes with a nifty little gadget that lets you clip it to your sun visor. Drift is awesome because they have a subscription of the month, just like Scentbird, but it's for your car or wherever you want to put it. Maybe you want to throw it in the old hockey bag because it smells like a dead body. Drift can do that. It's beautiful though because they sent me this little visor clip for the car and a wooden Drift one that smells like teak, and it is actually, holy smokes, it's amazing. And it clips right to your thing, just like that. Just like the video shows you. All their materials are sustainable, which I love, and their scents are made with natural essential fragrance oils. So this one here is about $9 for your car, and they also have stone and metal. So they recommend you changing about every 30 days. And if you're on the subscription service, they're just gonna send you the scent of the month or the one that you really like. Their scent of the month club also includes things like limited edition scents, things that are good for the season, fall, Christmas, Halloween. I don't know what they do for Halloween. It smells like candy, I don't know. Within any scenting environment, nose blindness becomes a thing. So it's actually kind of cool that you can switch out the scent every 30 days. Or if you really, really do like it, you just keep the one that you love. Their subscription is very flexible and you can change your scent, your delivery frequency, or cancel your subscription anytime you like. I love having a good smelling vehicle. Like you get in, you're like, doesn't smell like leftover French fries. It smells like Drift, and that's what I like. The beautiful thing is you don't have to clip this to your visor. You can put it anywhere. It has a nifty magnet on the back of the wood or the metal or the stone, which can be put anywhere. On your fridge if you'd like. But teak, the one that they'd send me for this one, it comes in this little nifty package here and includes musk, amber, pepper, teak, and cedar. And that's my favorite scent on earth. I don't know if you know this about me or anything, is actually the smell of cedar. And I'm pretty sure this is a piece of cedar. So if I could have everything around me smelling like cedar, I absolutely would. There's just something about the smell of cedar. So this one was actually perfect. I didn't even ask for it. I just told them, send me what you think. And this one is beautiful. And because Drift partnered with me, that means you guys get a sweet deal. So head over to drift.co and use code DCP55 to get 55% off your first order. That's like a little over $4 for this thing. It's a really good deal. You don't want to miss out on it. I can't wait to see what they give me next month. I can't wait to get the stone and the metal one that has the little clippies and everything else. It's just, what a great idea. I'm all in. And I'm not going to show you something I don't use myself, and I absolutely love this for all my vehicles. Again, drift.co, use code DCP55, and thanks Drift for sponsoring this video. Now let's get to the Snark. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge Podcast. My name is Josh. Welcome to Snark Week. We're having a good old time over here. Today we're talking about this video that everybody wanted me to cover because I asked for it. So Kyra went in her last video and she obviously threw shade at me for having low morals while she's engaging in what she's engaging in. So it is what it is. But she said specifically in the video, she's talking about having at least 2 more children. And then I was like, didn't she say somewhere in a video somewhere that she's not allowed to have kids? And someone find that video for me. Oh, did somebody find the video for me? About 150 of you. And I always wanted to go back and look at old videos of Okay Baby Anyway. Now that we know what we know, it's actually really, really interesting to look at old stuff with hindsight being 2020. It's really interesting. So we're gonna snark on this old video with Kyra and Oscar here and just call it her lies. Some people are like, well, Josh, why are you covering her? She doesn't show her kids anymore. I don't care. Take down everything about your old kids and I'll stop talking about you, sure. But you still capitalize on all that stuff. Plus, again, I've said this in the last video. The reason I continue to cover someone like her, it's because this is the aftermath of doing what they did on the internet. And it's actually quite interesting. We're kind of like a study in what happens to influencers and exploiters on the internet. It's actually really interesting. So I'm gonna keep talking about it. You guys like making fun of her with me. So let's go. So yeah, a lot of people messaged me this video and said, this is the one they talk about the pregnancy stuff, and I'm sure it's gonna make Kyra out to be a massive hypocrite and dangerous to boot, right? Or she was lying, right? We know that Oscar said he got the vasectomy, right? And everybody's like, oh, she forced him to get the vasectomy. I don't think that's the case. I think Oscar made the choice to do it, but I also think that Oscar made the choice to do it because of this video where she's about to say she could die if she gets pregnant. So I don't think Oscar made the choice out of like, he doesn't want any more kids for the rest of his life, because don't forget, he's 26 or 27. He's still a young dude, okay? So he made that choice because this was his forever person, right? This is the mother of his children. He doesn't want to possibly get her pregnant and kill her. So I think, yes, it was his decision, but it was his decision made out of love and protection of his baby mom. So it gets convoluted, and I'm sure she had something to do with that. I don't know. But now that she's saying she wants more kids, she doesn't care about this thing. Let's look at what she had to say before, and let's see if she's lying now. She's probably lying now.
Good morning, you guys. We're starting the day off a little bit
Echoey. Starting it off a little echoey.
Differently and a little bit more unexpected.
First of all, I want to point out, like, when you watch these things, Kyra is... Now that we know what we know, it's kind of cool to watch this, right? So when we did the breakup videos and everything else, I still didn't know as much as I knew about Kyra. And now that I get to see it, it's just icky. Oscar was generally forced into doing these types of things. I believe it. I believe that, yeah, they knew they were making content out of it. He knew he'd monetize it, he'd edit it, he'd do all that stuff. But watch him generally in these videos. He gives away more than anybody else, even though he's not trying.
But as many of you guys know, we moved to California for a big reason being that I would finally get to see the doctor more frequently. And today was my first doctor's appointment. I was so freaking excited to finally be able to go and get an ultrasound again and all that stuff. So
you can do that. I mean, obviously, I don't know because I didn't watch any of the previous videos. If something tells me that, like, they couldn't do that because they didn't have a normal doctor. So they moved back to California. So she moved to California because she's like, okay, I want to get more babies. And I know that Kyra talks about wanting babies. But the more that we watch her, the more I ask, why? You don't even, like, from what we see, it doesn't seem like you care that much about the babies you have. I feel like you want babies for the sake of having babies. And when they're not babies anymore, you're like, eh. Because we see how you act. You go on vacations galore. You moved in your nanny's freaking husband that they knew as that guy and are like completely, you don't show him, you give him all the privacy in the world and you never did for your children, okay? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, I assume that, yeah, she does love her children, okay? I get that. But again, the way that she lives her life sort of shows me that lots of things take priority over that. Do you know what I mean? Like, she did a live the other day where she made fun of me and everything else. Meanwhile, like, she's down in beers and Preston's in there watching children. Like, if you're, and then she gets so, she's like, when my kids go see Oscar, I have to leave because I don't want to be here and be reminded. But when they're there, you're not even hanging out with them. So I get it. I think Kyra thinks that a baby will save her channel. I think she thinks, and you know what? I know that it won't get as much as the other ones. I know that for sure because a lot of people don't like her for what she did. But let's be real, everybody. It's going to give her a big paycheck. It doesn't matter who you are. If you have babies, it's like, oh, all is good. Don't worry about ruining families. Babies! Because babies are lucrative. It is crazy how lucrative having babies on the internet is. I wish it wasn't, but it really is.
So I went by myself because Oscar obviously had to stay with the kids. And I just hate that I always get emotional, but first off, the baby is what we think is okay.
She's pregnant here. Okay, my bad.
That's good. Yeah, it has a heartbeat. Like, I did get to hear the heartbeat. I've been seeing it, but the doctors have never played it for me to listen to. So today I got to hear it and see the baby for the most part.
Look what's going on with this guy. What's happening?
Couldn't really make out certain parts. Once they're so big, it kind of just takes up the whole thing. But my doctor, I don't really know how to explain this. This is kind of hard.
This is when we go back to the stuff, these influencers that sit in front of these cameras and tell you the most personal stories of their lives and heartbreaks and everything else. You don't have to. They never say that, I don't have, the only time they say I don't have to tell you anything is when they're the ones when they're the ones being like in the hot seat. When they've done something wrong and they're like being called out for being a shitty person, they're like, I don't tell you anything. And here, they don't tell us anything here either. Like, if it's so hard for you, why do you do it? Right? But they do it because they will monetize anything. There are people out there, and this is the side of the internet I rarely talk about, especially when it comes to family vlogging, right? Because I know that having a miscarriage is the hardest thing for a lot of women, probably the most devastating thing that could happen to a lot of people, okay? It's happened close to me. I know a lot of people. It's just devastating, right? And I hesitate to say even this, but someone like Maddie Lambert, right? And I'll talk about that maybe next week or something like that. She's pregnant at 13. Now she's got a boyfriend who looks like he's 13 and they're pregnant again, right? Because, and the view count of that video is like 10 times higher than her normal videos because babies are lucrative, right? But she tells us she's pregnant 3 weeks into being pregnant. You got Matt and Abby, same thing. They're telling you 3 weeks into being pregnant or whatever the case may be. When the general consensus, and I mean, people can do whatever they want, right? The world is changing. This is kind of old fashioned maybe, but 3 months is generally when you tell everybody, because that's like the first trimester is the most, is the one that fails the most, if that makes any sense. Most miscarriages happen within the first trimester from what I understand, right? So a lot of people generally waited because they don't want to if you don't want to tell your tragedy afterwards, you don't have to, because people might not know and you don't have to tell them. But the reason they tell you stuff so early and they share all the important details is because even if it does turn out bad, they will monetize that too, right? I'm not saying they want it to happen. I don't think that, but they're like, well, if it does happen, we'll monetize it. And they will. Like if you look at what they're called, the freaking derelict, what are their names? Della vlogs. Like they documented this whole process when they saw the red flags from the beginning. And they did it because they knew that they'd still get millions of views because of the scam, right? So that's the difference between regular people and people who share their lives on the internet, specifically when it comes to children, is that they know they'll monetize it no matter what happens. And that's why they're not scared to talk about it. And to me, as a human, I just feel like, damn, that's gross.
My doctor basically is telling me she thinks I have placenta previa again.
Okay. When the placenta covers the opening of the mother's cervix, placenta previa risk factors include a previous delivery, age older than 35, a history of previous surgeries such as cesarean sections of uterine fibroid removal or uterine fibroid removal. The main symptom is bright red vaginal bleeding without pain during the second half of pregnancy. The condition can also be severe bleeding before or during delivery. Bed rest is recommended, and a C-section is often needed. Now, she's had 4. I'm not sure this will be her last one, I think, so that's what she thinks the doctor says. Okay.
Which, if you're familiar with Levi, which I know about.
If you're familiar.
When you guys came or watched our channel when we had Levi, I had placenta previa, and that's why I had to have an emergency C-section. I was bleeding really bad, and he was born 6 weeks early and was in the NICU for a few days. Not too bad. It definitely could have been worse, so we were grateful, but so that was kind of traumatic. And so to find out today that she thinks that I have that again is a little bit emotional, I guess, and overwhelming. And it came with a lot of other information, like I have an anterior placenta. Usually the baby's kind of
just cut. I have an anterior, so usually I cut to that. Why do you cut that?
Right here, but this baby is more here, so could lead to a lot of really bad things like hemorrhaging, which is like excessive bleeding, essentially bleeding to death. And then I can have it.
I gotta stop there for a second. The one thing I was just about to say something like, oh, why would you give this all away early? This is actually the time that I would support this type of content. Right? This is the time where I'd say, and this is why a lot of pregnancy is huge for a lot of women. As soon as you get pregnant, they become scholars. And they do. My wife put the books, I read the books, you do all the research, because it's a really important thing. You want to be ahead of you want to make sure you're understanding what's going on. So this video, I'd actually kind of support her saying all these things, it is monetized, right? Even before it all happens, because I was about to say, well, the baby turned out fine. But at the same time, no, this is the time that you do this type of stuff. This is information that a lot of people are looking for. And if you're like, oh, I have this and this and the other, and someone else is like, oh, I should go check for that. That's good. See, when I talk about things like that could be shared, the pregnancy, there's nothing wrong with sharing your pregnancy. I think it's great, right? It's the point when you go to the hospital and live stream your vag on the internet and your kid coming out of it, right? It's the point where you monetize everything after the child is born. But this raising awareness thing does work for this, because there are like millions of people getting pregnant, right? And so this content, really important. So I got to say that. I'm not throwing shade at her for giving away all this information, because I think this stuff is important. But it does go back to the idea that they do play both fields when it comes to like how early they share this stuff and what's going on, because when shit does hit the fan, and it does happen for a lot of people, okay, it does, and it's so sad. No matter who you are, okay, I don't care how much you're a shitty person. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, okay? It's terrible. And so, but they do play both sides. And a lot of them have done it, and a lot of them have made a lot of money doing it. I rarely talk about it, because in the end, man, if that's how if you make money off it, okay, well, okay. I mean, okay, but there are people who fake it too. A lot of people who do that, and a lot of people will monetize that type of stuff, and so it's just hard to weigh it all.
Hysterectomy, which means they completely remove your uterus. And so I have a 60% chance or higher of a lot of these bad situations happening, which when I heard that percentage was like, I don't know, I was, I guess, expecting 30 or 40%.
Yeah, usually you don't hear that it's going to be most
Over
likely,
half.
Yeah, and that's crazy, because if that happened in this pregnancy, then I'm pretty sure after this pregnancy is when he got snipped and everything was like, okay, we can't do that anymore. You're at 60% on the last pregnancy possibility of dying and having a hysterectomy and everything else. But now you're going to go again with a new dude and it's not even just that. It's just that I think if anything, if you want to throw shade at anything in the realist sense of everything, it's that Kyra completely rushed this. And a lot of people have a lot to say about this whole rushing thing, right? She just ended things with Oscar last year, just not even a year ago. It hasn't even been a year, not even close to, like 7 months ago, right? And no, 7 months ago. That's what we think. That's when they did the video anyway. And already is getting married to this dude who was her best friend's husband, right? And let's not forget the idea. She's like, oh, that just happens, when we broke up and then I comforted him and he comforted me. Why didn't you? And again, I'll say this again. Why didn't you comfort Hannah? She was your friend. I think the idea is this rushing thing. Right? Again, her channel is exploding. No one wants to watch her anymore. She's hated. She turns off her comments on everything. She's hated because of what she did, not who she is. Well, maybe it is who she is, but she's hated because of her behaviors. And now she's like talking about more babies with this guy that she's rushing into a relationship with, basically an open relationship too, which is dangerous. I've talked about this before. Like, what if he gets one of these threesome girls pregnant? Right? What if because, even using protection isn't 100% effective. We all know that, right? Could be entrapment on one other, can be entrapment on another side if they find out that you're famous, quote unquote, right? So and I feel like everybody's upset because she's just rushing into this craziness because she needs to justify what I think was cheating, right? And she can't. That's what's happening here. That's what I think's happening. So that's what I'm saying. So a lot of people are upset because of the rushing, but now that we're seeing this video where she's talking about the dangers of it all, like you're also putting your life at risk. And no matter how much we don't like Kyra, we don't want that. Nobody wants her to die or put her life at risk. Okay? Just be a better person. But nobody wants her to do that, especially Oscar. And I'm sure Preston, I don't know, if Preston knows this and has seen these videos and has conversations with her about this, why would he be like, yeah, let's try for babies. It could kill you, but let's try. Where's Preston in all this?
He's always wanted kids. Like, that's a huge goal of his, is to have kids. Like, kids of his own.
Right? Where's her dad in this? Where are people that she loves talking to her like, don't do this. You could die. It's not worth it. But the content she creates is absolutely collapsing. And she thinks this will help her because the wedding's not going to help. Maybe a little bit, but they're hate watch, right? But because influencers, and this is it. This is the definitive statement on this whole thing. It's because influencers know how big of a damn paycheck getting pregnant and having babies on the internet is. That's it. That's the long and short of this all. She has 4 beautiful children with Oscar that she can barely takes care of now. But she already has an abundance of children. Now, a lot of people are like, I want more. And I'm not going to throw shade at you for wanting more kids. We need more kids in the world. We do. Right? But if it's going to put your life at risk, that's selfish. Considering that you're going to do it for content, not just for life-sees, right? You're not doing it because you want children. You're doing it because you want to make money as content. That's gross.
Yeah, also having placenta previa could possibly mean going on bed rest, which terrifies me because a lot of you guys know I struggle with mental health issues, and I feel like that would be like worse for my mental health. Ultimately, if it's what I have to do, 100% we will do what's best for the baby and I, but it makes me nervous. And so basically the doctor couldn't give me a lot of information. She said she doesn't really feel comfortable giving additional information because she couldn't see much from the ultrasound she did perform to provide any for sure.
Why does she say the R after it's supposed to go? Provide? Stop it!
Information, so she's sending me to do a more in detail scan of the baby.
Yeah, with a high risk doctor, that's also kind of scary to find out.
Yeah, and then the other thing was she did say that she thinks I should she's going to recommend, it's not called recommend.
She's going to refer you.
What is it called?
She's going to...
refer me.
Prefer me.
Refer me to a...
She doesn't prefer you.
High high-risk pregnancy doctor. So somebody who specializes in pregnancies that have difficulties or
Yeah, we know what a high-risk doctor is. Thanks.
Type of problematic things. So that, yeah, of course, was also a little bit different than we expected to hear. Ultimately, I feel like I told this to Oscar when I was telling him everything. I'm glad to hear that most likely it sounds like the problem is with me and not necessarily the baby. Like, the baby seems...
Kyra, remember you said this, because this is basically everything in your life. Not trying to, like, throw the pregnancy under the bus, but, like, the problem has always been with you for everything, Kyra.
This is Oscar and I's last baby, and we've made that decision together. Mm-hmm. And Oscar is going to get a vasectomy, and I have chosen not to get my tubes tied because I felt like I'm weird about bodily things. A lot of you guys actually relate to that when I say that, and I feel weird about getting my tubes tied. I know it's weird because I'm getting surgery anyways, but it's just like one of those things.
That strikes me. No, I get it. If Oscar's willing to go his vasectomy, cool. It's easier for the guy to do it. It's an afternoon, or it's like a 30-minute operation, and it is fully reversible if you really don't, if you want to reverse it. So I'm in favor. It's way less invasive, way less dangerous. If it's between a guy and a girl making a choice, it should be the guy. But at the same time, I feel like you got to look into this pretty deeply. She's really, really, really sad that this is going to be the last baby. Now, she's made it clear that she's wanted more babies, but they're sitting here telling you the reason why they're not going to do it anymore. And then we have this live the other day where she's like, more babies, more babies. What happened? What is changing? Again, I feel like Kyra is putting her life at risk because her content is crashing. And no matter what you think about her, hate her, love her, or whatever, she needs to have an intervention. Don't do it. Just for the gram, right? Don't do it for YouTube content. You could die, man. Or you leave your children without a mother, right? I know we joke about her being absent, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, but in the end, really, 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 truly, would you risk this for content? Would you risk not being there for your kids anymore, right? What are you thinking? It's not worth it. You have 4 beautiful children. You're good to go. I feel like Kyra makes these really, really big decisions kind of like quickly, and then goes on with them until everything crashes and burns. So far as what's happened in her life anyway. The presticle situation is the same. That was a crazy, that was a decision that she made and just threw everything to the wind and said, let's do this thing. In my opinion, when she was cheating, okay? Threw it to the wind. And she said, F that. She makes bad choices. She's had 3 cars in less than a year. She can't stick to anything. She's moved 3 times, right? Don't make that same kind of mistake or choice about lives, including your own.
So anyways, my doctor today told me that she doesn't think my body can have any more children.
Boom. There it is.
I could possibly get pregnant again, but to have a successful, healthy pregnancy again would be very unlikely. So
she's saying it out loud here. Why is she not addressing this? Why are her super fans not asking her, hey, when you said it's very unlikely I'll have a healthy pregnancy again, why then are you trying for more?
I definitely don't want to wait until I'm 35 to have more kids, especially because we want more than one. However, we have to have them. But anyways.
She did talk about surrogacy in the new one. I'll get surrogacy. So just do that then. Just do that. But she wasn't. She's like, maybe when I'm done having babies, I'll try surrogacy again. No, just do that from the beginning, please.
So she was basically, and very dangerous. For me, more so. She didn't say, like, the baby wouldn't necessarily survive, but she just said, like, there's a high chance that I possibly wouldn't survive that. So
you said this out loud on camera. Oscar's feeling it. Everybody's feeling it. You're crying. Everybody's sad. Again, I don't care what you feel about Kyra. I don't care if I hate her. Love her, hate her. You do not want that for her. We're sitting here listening to the truth of a doctor that just told her this. I feel like she's forgotten this video exists, or that she had a conversation like that with doctors. What has changed? Why is she now like going hard for more babies after we just heard what we heard?
Obviously that makes it more, yes, we're not having more kids. And like I said, we both already made this choice.
I definitely don't want to wait until I'm 35 to have more kids.
There's just something about other people like telling you what you can and can't do. For me, at least, I think I'm really weird at this point.
Yeah, you're a bit weird. So she's Okay, so what she's upset about is a doctor giving her advice on what she can and can't do. So does that mean what she's about to do right now is she's like, well, screw you, can't tell me what to do, I'm going to do it anyway? Because holy shit, Kyra, that's your life. It's different when you can't tell me what to do, what to wear, blah, blah, what to drive, what kind of content. Fine, I get that. But yes, a doctor should be able to tell you what you can and can't do considering what they know, right? Unless Kyra has had different scans, had multiple, different doctors' meetings, and they said, no, go ahead now, everything's good. Maybe she should tell people that. Because honestly, she's got a responsibility to Oscar, her children, and unfortunately her fans, yes, to say, look, I've had a different conversation. Doctor says we're going to be successful, no problem. All that thing that was said before, it's all healed or something. But I haven't heard anything like that. So she's telling us right now that she could die. Now, the question arises, was this all for content? Was this all for lies? She said she went without Oscar. So everything she's telling Oscar could be a lie. I'm not saying it is, because it sounds like it's true. I'm just saying the question must be asked. He wasn't there. Did she confuse something? Because it sounds to me like now she doesn't seem to think that it's a problem. She's talking about having 2 more babies like it's nothing. What are we missing?
Oscar's like, I don't get it. If you know it's dangerous for your body, like, just don't do it.
No, I completely understand there's a difference between having a choice and then feeling like that choice is being taken away from you.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I kind of feel like, is that the choice is being, like, taken away in a way. And
it's being taken away. Your body is rejecting babies, or some people are built that way. Some people could die from this. It sucks, man. Some people get cancer. Some people get kidney stones, right? It's just, you can't choose it. And it does suck. Don't get me wrong. Yes. But she's going about it the wrong way. And she's like, well, F that. F my body. I'm going to try again. I can't.
She really wants to tie my tubes, and she was very adamant about just doing it. Like, it almost kind of felt like she wasn't giving me an option.
Then you seek another doctor for sure. Like, don't do that. Go look for another doctor and say, look, can you give me a second opinion on this? This is what they think. This is what they seem to think. Or don't even go tell them anything. Let them do scans in the blind and then come to their conclusions, and then maybe say, well, this other doctor said this. What do you think? I do agree. Some doctors are just like, yeah, it is. Like, I get that. Doctors are seeing thousands of people. You become a number. You are just a person. You are not somebody who's really close to these people, and that has to be taken into consideration. They're just like, that's good. Just go get this done. And then just like move on to the next patient. They forgot about you, right? I do get that. But man, when it comes to a life and death decision, if a doctor told me, right, if you don't stop, like this is when I was super, super ultra fat, right? I had a fatty liver. I was like 1 point away from diabetes. And the doctor said to me, if you don't change, you're going to die. And my kids had just been born. I just adopted. Everything was crazy in my life. And I'm like, and so what did I do? I did a life-saving surgery that literally saved my life and made major changes in my life that I stuck to this day. I'm not saying the most healthy guy in the world, okay? But to this day, there are things I will never touch because I'm like, well, that's dangerous. Even the doctor said iced tea might be causing kidney stones. I haven't had an iced tea since he said that, by the way. And I love Arnold Palmer. Can't drink it anymore. Because if that's what's causing it, then I'm not going to drink it because I don't want more. I don't get this idea where a doctor's telling you something that could kill you and you're just like, yeah, whatever. We'll try again.
And she said, I don't remember this exact word. I'm going to try to use the word that she used, but
referral.
She's like, I don't want to make you feel like I'm taking monopoly over your body.
Monopoly. She's definitely taking monopoly over me. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a serious topic, but it's giving me Ricky from Trailer Park Boys.
It's not a ladybug, it's a caterpillar. You can go to college and get your little PFD or whatever the it's called. I don't care. You know what? You're no better than me. Get 2 birds stoned at once. I just don't understand investments. I told you that. Ricky, remember I told you about thinking about each word before you say it? One of those words isn't real.
If you're gonna say that, maybe you shouldn't say whatever you're gonna say anyways, because you're obviously... It's like when you say, I'm sorry to be rude, but... And it's like...
No.
Just because you're sorry, I don't...
Kyra, you're ridiculous right now. This doctor isn't your friend. Okay? This doctor is trying to save your life. The audacity of... Every time I watch Kyra and she says stupid things like, oh yeah, this guy is morally unhinged and while living the life that she's leading. Like, the audacity of Kyra is mind-blowing to me. She's like, I'm not trying to be rude, but if you don't do this, you'll die is way different than someone trying to be like, I'm not trying to be rude, but your forehead's huge, right? That's way different. This doctor is giving you, what, you want the doctor to lie to you? To what? You don't want her to tell the truth? I don't understand the logic. The doctor is saying, don't do it, you could die. That's their job. If they don't do that, they could be sued. What are you saying?
I think they're just like, this is concerning.
Yeah.
This is not
Which I 100% understand. I'm not.
You do not 100% understand, or you wouldn't have just said what you said. Don't say things. You don't 100% understand. You're crazy. You're a child.
She, like, I know that I shouldn't have another baby. It just is, like, frustrating when you feel like you don't have that choice.
No, but it's just...
So you should have just kept it there. That would have made it all better, now that we know who we know better. I just feel it's frustrating when you don't have a choice. And we would all agree with you on that. All of us would. Anybody who has anything medical or anything, like sometimes you just can't make a choice and it is frustrating. That's all you had to say. What do you, like, I get you're grieving, but holy shit, this is Kyra. This is Kyra saying, you can't tell me what to do. Her whole life has been this big F you to everybody around her for some reason, because I guess her childhood was out of her control or something like that, right? And so you can't tell me what to do. And so she steals her best friend's boyfriend from high school, right? You can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me who I can't have or what I can do, right? Her whole life has been that way. And so with Oscar, I felt like maybe she finally came to a conclusion that, like, it got to a point where he's like, I guess, not wanting to marry her or whatever. You can't tell me what to do. Again, her whole life has been, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to do the thing you can't tell me what to do. It's really weird. And that's how she ran this whole relationship. Oscar did not wear the pants here. She's the one that sits here with a doctor telling you could die, saying things like, don't tell me what to do. That's outrageous. So that's who she is. This one is very, very telling about who Kyra is, the origin story of Kyra, big time.
Because it's one thing when we talk about it, but
Yeah, like, it's one thing when Oscar's like, I don't want to have another baby, it's overwhelming, and I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. But, like...
No, that's exactly...
Also, and it is overwhelming. Like, I told him, and again, that's why we made the choice. I feel overwhelmed with 3 kids as it is. We're about to have our 4th. I know we'll be plenty good in the kid department.
But
just...
She's telling you she's overwhelmed with 3. She wants another one. Kyra makes bad choices. That's it. That's all we have to know. This video should have been called Kyra makes the worst choices ever. Always has. And Preston's is just one more of those crazy choices that she made. A terrible choice in people. Because that guy's what, 24? She's 26? You think he's gonna stick around for the long haul? He was married to his high school sweetheart he was with for years and years and years. And all it took was some side vag to just leave that marriage. Right? For someone like this. Craziness.
I am 23, and, like, I just don't know how I'll feel in 10 years. And so I haven't completely come to a decision on that.
Here's how you feel in 10 years. I'm sure glad we didn't have any more kids. I'm sure glad you got the vasectomy, Oscar, because that could have killed me. So I appreciate you doing this life-saving thing you did for me, right? There's no chance I can get pregnant because you have a vasectomy, right? As long as you do it right. Nobody ever talks about this idea that Oscar did this because this is his person. And this is his person for everybody who talks about how it's like, oh, Oscar did it, blah, blah, blah. Did you think Oscar thought she was going to leave his ass in a year or 2 after this? You think so? No. Oscar was in it for the long haul. Oscar did it for Kyra, not Oscar. Even though you can tell that she was pissed he had to do it. I feel like he's like, I'm doing this. And she's like, oh, well, man, I don't know how I'm going to feel in a few years. Doesn't matter. I'm getting a vasectomy because it could kill you. So I don't care what you say. I'm doing this for you. Do you guys realize this? You wonder why people are Team Oscar. There's another reason. It's just crazy because every time she mentions that, like, we decided he was going to do it, she has a meltdown about it. It's not something she's like, thanks for saving my life. Thanks for loving me enough that you will go through a surgery to protect me. The audacity of Kyra, again.
To be honest, I'm not really looking for opinions either. Or
we know.
advice when it comes to that, because it is just something I think I internally need to do my research on.
So you don't want opinions and stuff, but you're going to make a video about it. Too bad. Also, I feel like she's even saying that, doctor, I don't really want your opinion. What you want is the opinion that everything's all good. Right? And again, I don't pretend to experience anything like this, and I know it could be devastating, okay? I just know. And so I'll never be a woman. I'll never have to experience this type of heartbreak. And so I don't want to diminish that part. We're talking about the entire scope of this thing, right? The doctor says one thing and she gets mad at that. Oscar gets a vasectomy. You know she didn't. She had a problem with that. You know she did. Finally came to agreement because he's like, doesn't matter. I don't want to kill you. I don't see a video saying, thanks, Oscar, for doing this because you did it for me, ever once, right? And now we're seeing this live where she's like, I'm having babies. What? I still can't get over. I've never seen this. And now that I see this, after hearing what she's saying on that live, I'm just like, what has changed? Like, tell people then it's changed. I went and saw a doctor. Everything looks great now. But I don't think you're going to understand if everything will look great if there is a baby in there, right? I'm holy shit.
And decide. But that was kind of just the icing on top of the whole appointment. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. I'm so excited. And then I'm just like, you are very possibly going to be very hurt in the process of having this baby, and the baby could possibly be hurt, and you also can't have any more kids. Have a good day. And it's like
usually you go to the doctor's appointments to be reassured that everything's okay and that everything's fine.
No, that's not why you go to doctors. Well, I mean, that's a bonus if you get that. That's not why you go to doctors. You go to doctors to find out what's wrong with you, and when they tell you what's wrong with you, you can't get mad at the doctor. It's not the doctor's fault. Now, does the doctor have shitty bedside manner? That's up to you to choose a new doctor then. You know, we have an amazing doctor. I love my doctor. Just incredible. So I'm so lucky, but I've had bad doctors in the past. And so I get that. So she's pissed about bedside manner. You know, a doctor's more clinical, just depends. And she's saying that she's upset about the way it was done. Okay, fine. But still, man, take your doctor's advice. I don't care how rude they are. Okay? Care if they have bad breath or what. If they tell you this, listen. Because now the internet knows, and then you say the other thing, and if something goes wrong, you're going to be to blame, Kyra. Just so you guys know, there's not going to be anybody being like, oh, poor Kyra. Well, your fans will, who pay to hear you talk on Instagram. But for the most part, people are going to be like, that's selfish of you. If you get pregnant by press taint, right, and shit hits the fan, like, you have nobody to blame but you and press taint. You understand? And you're not going to get the sympathy. You're not going to get the sympathy clicks and likes that you think you're going to get because we have proof of you saying what you're saying. And if Preston as a man has any manhood left in him, any of it, because we know he's a douche for doing what he's done, right? But if he has any left, a man is sworn to protect his wife. That's just, that's it. In the Bible, I know I'm going back biblical, whatever, but that's it. The woman is the caretaker, the one with the love, and takes care of the home and everything else. And they are meant to submit to their husbands in that way. That's biblical. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying it's biblical. But the guy's job, and this often gets overlooked because the patriarchy, but the guy's job is to die for his wife. To literally die. There's no command in the Bible or no messaging where it's like wife should die for their husband. It's never mentioned. The man is required to literally die for his family. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you got to make a sandwich or die. I'd probably choose the sandwich. You know what I'm saying? I have to make a sandwich or die. So I want to point that out to you. If Preston has any semblance of manhood left in his body, he would tell her, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. It could kill you. And if Press Taint loves her like she says he does, then this is his opportunity to prove it.
He's always wanted kids. Like, that's a huge goal of his, is to have kids. Like, kids of his own.
Right? I'm sorry. But after watching this, they have no leg to stand on if they pursue that.
If that's kind of what you expect. All right, everything's good, everything's gonna be fine. All right, but to hear all right, everything's not good, things are getting a little dangerous, and you have we're kind of telling you that you shouldn't, and you have very little choice. I mean, I guess you still have the choice, but
you have the choice because legally she can give me the choice, but also
they really recommend not to. I don't know, it's just all kind of
you guys are. I get that they're young here. But oh my God, they're just throwing this doctor's advice. They just have to say it. No, the doctor's telling you it's going to kill you. So don't do it. Everybody in this chat, hands up. If a doctor said, don't do this one thing or it could kill you, are you going to continue to do that one thing? It's almost like Kyra's angry. It's really weird the parallel you make between Kyra, who hates her mother for the drugs and the addiction that her mother had. But Kyra's addicted to the gram. She's addicted to the fame. She's addicted to having babies, clearly, and getting the fame and money from that. So Kyra's addiction is different than her mother's, but it's the same, if you know what I mean, because it could kill her.
They're just trying to be safe and they care about your well-being, but I understand that, not having the choice, it just feels almost more I don't know.
as again, Oscar always says it. He says the thing we're all thinking. She just doesn't want to hear it. He just said the right thing. Look, they're trying to help us and we get that, but it just seems like this way. That's right. That's all you had to say. And then Kyra's didn't. Now let me say my thing.
And like we were both saying, we understand that that's just facts. That's what it is. She's the doctor. She needs to tell us this. Who else is going to tell us this? But it's just...
There's no but after this, by the way.
It's just like, it still hurts, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Then you could have said that in 10 seconds on an Instagram post.
And even like for this pregnancy, she was saying you shouldn't have even been pregnant this time.
I feel like you should have told me that before I got pregnant. So is Kyra telling you that she was told this after her last child and then they still did it? I do have to make a parallel argument, though, in defense of Kyra, because she's making these decisions that could kill her and take her life and everything else, and it's dangerous. But Oscar also did crazy dangerous shit that she didn't like. So just want to say that. Don't forget that. Running and jumping out of airplanes and shit and breaking your back and doing insane stunts and all that kind of stuff. Like, he probably is more at risk of dying doing those things than she is getting pregnant. So I do want to point that out. They don't say that here, but that's something we can't miss.
And even she's like, but you're already here, so like, I guess what can you do? And I just feel like, I don't know, it just like made me feel all types of weird ways that she said that. But I know she's just she's doing her job, and
that's it. That's all you have to say. They've said that 5 times now.
But ultimately, I do want to also say that I always have a hard time talking about, and we know things could be worse, and that's what's keeping the smile on our faces.
Yeah. I have not seen a smile.
And knowing we'll be okay. It is a lot to take in,
and if you were to get your tubes tied, I would still get a vasectomy, because I don't feel like it's fair that, okay, well, now that Kyra's gonna get her tubes tied, like, I'm gonna be free to just chill or do whatever, like, you know what I mean? I still...
And that's the difference between Kyra and Oscar, everybody. You hear that? Did you hear that? If she got her tubes tied, I'd still give a vasectomy, because that's fair. Kyra, this relationship has always been one-sided, and it's always been about Kyra. How much more proof do you need to know that Oscar isn't the bad guy or never was the bad guy in this situation? Now, did they have arguments? I'm sure. We all have arguments with our spouse, right? They've been together for a long time. And then she did that live. Now that we see that live that she put out there where she was freaking, she tried to put Oscar in a bad light there. But even if you hear that argument, he wasn't trying to escalate it. Hear what he just said there. She would never, right? She would never. I feel like almost Kyra, in the back of her mind, for the last 2 or 3 years of their relationship, knew it was over. Just didn't do anything about it. Because they were together. And I've said this about many content creators. They're together for the cash. And I think Kyra almost didn't have a choice at the end of breakup with Oscar, because something was about to come out. Because in that video, he's like, she emotionally cheated on me. We all know it was with Preston. Right? And I think it was just about to come out, and so she just had to bite the bullet and just end it. Right? And she's like, I got to go find myself. The more we hear this, the more we see the comparison between these two people, the more we realize that Kyra is indeed the evil person between the two, right? Not saying Oscar's innocent in everything, of course, but what he just said there, Kyra would never, and she just smirks at it.
I think that, I don't know, it's almost like, I said I was going to do it, I'm still going to do it, that we can do it together if we have to, if you want to.
He went for high five. He just left him hanging for the high five. So, is there anything worse than being left hanging for a high five or a handshake? Is there anything more embarrassing? Even if nobody saw it, that hits you in the soul. Okay? The missed high fives and shits. I don't know. As a human, the experience of getting shaded for a high five it hurts you. It's physically cringy.
I don't know, guys. I just feel like with the whole tubes tied thing, like even right now, I'm thinking to myself, like, how would I feel if I knew my tubes were tied? And it just makes me feel like I want to throw up a little bit. Like, I'm really grossed out by things, like, bodily.
What about things like dying? You grossed out by that?
And so it just and I know it's stupid. I know you guys are thinking, I don't get it. You've had so many surgeries to have kids anyways, but it's just a weird thing that mentally it's really hard for me to grasp. But ultimately, I care more about me staying alive and being here for the
Sounds like it, though.
Kids that I do have.
Remember, she just said, ultimately, I'm going to rewind that for you guys so you can hear it. Listen.
And so it just me, and I know it's stupid. I know you guys are thinking, I don't get it. You've had so many surgeries
For the soundbite.
to have kids anyways, but it's just a weird thing that mentally it's really hard for me to grasp. But ultimately, I care more about me staying alive and being here for the kids that I do have, than to risk my death or another baby's potential, hard. What word would you use?
Just like
non-good things that could happen with.
Right. That's the soundbite, everybody. That's it right there. And now she's saying the complete opposite. Can't be missed. Can't overlook it.
Next pregnancy. So ultimately, I want to make the right choice and do the right thing. It is a hard thing when I feel like I don't really get to make the choice. Like, yeah, I can pretend that it's my choice, but ultimately it's really not.
So again, she's saying it again. She's more mad that it's not her choice. That's it. She's more upset that she can't make the choice whether or not to not do this. That's grow up, Kyra. Welcome to the real world.
And that's a little bit hard,
but okay, what can you do?
Also, I kind of was holding on hope that I could convince you in like 10 years, and now I feel like
there it is.
Like the psychopath in me, I know that Oscar said that was going to happen, but the psychopath in me was like, maybe just for now I'll agree, but like in 10 years I'll try to convince him.
To reverse the surgery, no thanks.
Now that's like completely...
See, there it is. She's telling you everything you need to know right now. Everybody's like, Oscar did this on his own, blah, 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 and he did. That's more proof that Oscar did make the choice for her, not for him. And she's upset with the choice he made. So ultimately, I thought in 10 years we'll try again. Kyra, in 10 years, it's going to be even worse. The older you get, the more at-risk pregnancies get anyway. So not only you are fully at risk now, because the doctor said you are, because of what's going on in your body, but as you get older, the risk gets higher too. So you're like doubling the risk. What is your problem, dumbass?
Like out of the question.
I feel like this whole video is us just like trying to save Kyra's life. To say like, why are you doing this? So, and I think a lot of people are upset with her for what she's saying now because of this video. And yeah, they might be haters, they don't like her and everything else, but at the same time, nobody wishes her to die. That's crazy. They do have children. She needs to be there for them. She loves her kids. So why doesn't she make choices that show it? That's all we need to know. That's a question maybe one of her fans can ask in the next live. You love your kids, we know that. So why did the choices you make show opposite of that? Like they're selfish for you and your content.
And that's, I guess, why I felt like I just found out for the first time we weren't having any more kids, because I thought I could...
You were holding on to
Yeah.
I was holding Monopoly over to have more.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it feels good to just like tell somebody right now, and like really, I don't know, I feel like there's like a weight on your shoulders, but even just making this video, it's like,
who are you telling? You're telling strangers.
A little bit of that pressure is relieved because like we're just getting like...
What? The pressure's relieved because you're telling strangers on the internet? And then in like not 2 seconds ago, she just said, I don't want any comments or suggestions.
I think when you...
Off our chest.
I think when you talk about something out loud too, it like just helps.
Therapy. Imagine you guys would have gotten therapy. The therapy she's getting now after she threw her family under the bus, who says it's helping her. Imagine she pursued therapy with Oscar before this. But again, I think there was no going back. I think they had gone too far, her and Preston, no matter what they were doing, and it was just about to come out. Unless Preston gave her an ultimatum. That's probably what happened.
My therapy is so highly used.
But not by you, clearly.
Yeah.
I know, but that's
Wow,
what
you
you're
guys
saying, I
are
guess.
so weird. Anyway, that's crazy. I was gonna snark on her wedding video, but I'll wait till she releases the Q&A. It wasn't very snarky today, guys, and I didn't actually expect it to be, but very, very important video because we just talked about it and then I wanted to see it. That video actually was way worse than I thought it was gonna be. I thought she might have just glossed over it, blah, blah, blah. But she explicitly said multiple times in this video about how dangerous it is for her to have more babies. And then we made a clear distinction between her and Oscar here and what he's willing to do and what she's willing to do. And all this does is tell me in the long run that, again, Kyra was forced to end that cash cow that was the OK Baby channel. Didn't want to do it. And that's maybe why she was so upset about it all. Right? I think she was forced. I think it might not even Preston. It might have been Hannah that says, you better talk to people. You better tell people what's going on or I'm going to spill the beans. Because this is how I think this all went down. And I've said it a bunch of times. I think that Preston and Hannah, likely in a drunken adventure or whatever, invited Kyra into their relationship as a threesome, right? Opened it up to Kyra just for fun, right? Or whatever. Or maybe Kyra suggested, I don't know. And I think that obviously ruined it for Hannah. And then her and Preston continued on with the relationship as of from October before the December that they broke up. And then after they broke up, they were off to Vegas doing the threesomes and everything else. That's exactly what I think happened. Okay? And so Kyra is obviously the person that will make all these choices and do all these things and is upset when she's forced to make a choice. And I think one of the choices that she was forced to make was to do the was to break up with Oscar, or shit was going to hit the fan. I honestly believe that. And that's why she was upset. Because every time we've seen Kyra upset, it's usually over the things that she can't control. And she's pissed about the weirdest things. Right? Not this one. You have a right to be pissed about this. But remember when we were talking, the things that she was crying about was not ending her family. It was that she can't make okay baby content anymore. Very revealing. This video has been super revealing about who Kyra really, really is. So, there you go. Everybody take a deep ass breath. And I got a whiff of that drift as I did it. Dang, that was good. Get yourself one today, everybody. Make sure you do that. Thank you for being here, guys. Thanks for being here for Snark Week. We're having a great old time. I'm going to do more Snark tomorrow, more Snark Saturday, more Snark Sunday. We're going to have some snarkiness. But I'm going to start like branching out into different snarkiness things, right? I want to talk about like cringe talks and like other things because I think the snark is universal. So maybe I'll do that for a couple things. Maybe I'll do a short one after this, see how it goes, see what you guys think. Yeah? Maybe? I don't know. Thanks for being amazing. Thanks for being incredible. Thanks for being valuable. Don't you damn well forget who you are. You are amazing. And if you're out there protecting your kids and being a great mom, that's because you're awesome. And you deserve a hug. Do me a favor, you walk by your husband, your boyfriend, or your significant other, smack them in the ass. Be like, I'm worth it. Just say it. Tell me what they do. Okay, cool? I'll see you guys when I see you.